The Matthews family has the rulebook for their dead game sitting on their shelf, and most viewers miss it completely. The Tuntine is not just decoration, it's a gambling scheme where the last survivor wins everything. Sounds familiar? That's exactly how Fromville works. As residents die, their knowledge and power transfer to whoever is left standing. This is not subtle symbolism, it's a blueprint. But this book placement is just the beginning of how the writers communicate with viewers through a hidden language most people miss entirely. By season 3, they make this communication system so obvious that characters literally become story walkers, people who can step between chapters of an ongoing story. Season 3 drops the most direct evidence of meta commentary. Ethan explains to Julie,
"No one can change a story once it's been told."
So this is not interpretation, this is proof that From operates according to the story logic rather than natural law. Julie can time travel to past events, but crucially, she cannot alter them. She can visit previous chapters, but she cannot change a story once it's been told. The writers are establishing the rules of engagement between creators and audience. Viewers can revisit and reanalyze past episodes, but they cannot alter what's already been aired. But we cannot change what's already been written. When Father Catherine referenced Book 74,
are living the book that has yet to be written.
he's directly addressing viewers who's been theorizing online. The episode title, Book 74 itself, becomes evidence. The writers acknowledge they're creating chapters in an ongoing book. Victor even makes this communication even more obvious.
Everything is a story. We're the ones who get to decide how it ends.
That's not character dialogue, that's the writers speaking directly to the audience about collaborative storytelling. What's interesting is that he delivers this line exactly when Ethan loses, fading his beloved book, dismissing the Cramonacle as a stupid story. The writers teach us that losing faith in stories is dangerous, because stories are the only tool we have to understand and potentially escape. But this is not the only one. Every time that jukebox plays a song at the wrong moment, the entity is communicating through weaponized nostalgia. Celebration by Kool and the Gang plays after Kenny's mother dies. Not as cruel irony, but as a painful manipulation. The entity understands human emotions well enough to weaponize our own cultural associations against us. Kenny even acknowledged this directly when "Oh Child" by the 5 Stairsteps plays during season 3. He explains that they do this sometimes. The mysterious forces use music as psychological manipulation. They're weaponizing hope itself. The sophistication goes deeper. "If I Had a Boat" by Lyle Lovett appears twice in season 1. First as a song to Boyd on the dinner radio, then in a flashback showing Boyd's family driving with his exact song playing in the car.
Listen to how peaceful that sounds.
The entity has access to personal memories and creates personalized soundtracks for each victim. It's not playing random songs, it's digging into their histories and using their own past against them. The main theme tells you everything. Que Sera Sera by the Pixies, not the gentle Doris Day version, unsettling cover that strips away comfort. Whatever will be, it's not about accepting destiny, it's about powerlessness. The writer choose this specific cover to program viewers for the first second of each episode. These characters have no royal agency. Everything is predetermined. Blue by Johnny Mitchell creates musical DNA that links different generations, plays during a lunch scene in season 1, then again in season 3 when Henry reveals it was Miranda's favorite song. The writers show us that people drawn to Fromville share psychological patterns. The song becomes a genetic marker, providing the entity select victims based on the specific emotional profiles. That is shown in season 1 and explained later in season 3. Going back to Ethan and the Cramonacle as not just his favorite book, is a roadmap for the entire situation. In the story, the hero gets lost in a realm called Rainbow Sky and only finds her way home after meeting a lonely dragon who gives her a map. Ethan literally connects these dots. When he and Tabitha find belongings from former residents, he compares it to the dragon's cavern of treasures, the place where their map might be hiding. Tabitha here finds a bracelet that belonged to Miranda because, as we know, she's the reincarnation of her. The writers use this fairy tale as emotional programming. Tabitha, as we know, reads the flight of the Cramonacle to calm Ethan at bedtime, drawing power from his hopeful message. The fairy tale becomes a source of psychological survival. Then the entity corrupts even this. this. When Sarah is manipulated into trying to harm Ethan, she tells him it will be just like in one of your stories, casting him as the hero whose sacrifice will save everyone. The forces speak the language of fairy tales too, showing that they understand how stories shape our understanding of reality. But this is not the only medium. The poetry scattered through the town functions as a diagnostic manual. Come from Dickens' son, Hope is the thing with feathers. In Fromville, this describes the residents' condition perfectly. They maintain hope without understanding what they're hoping for. They're singing songs without words, trapped in endless repetition. Forever is composed of nouns, suggests that eternity is a distant concept. It's built from accumulated present moments. The residents are not just trapped in space, they're trapped in time itself. Every moment they experience becomes part of the eternal structure of their imprisonment. These are not random things, they're precise, psychological descriptions written in the 1800s that perfectly diagnose people trapped in a supernatural prison. And as we know, the Man in Yellow controls the story from behind the scenes. He punishes characters who get too close to the answers. He's not just a monster, he's the author keeping his characters trapped in his story. He was a voice on the radio in season 1, warning Jim not to dig that hole. Literally a voice of out of nowhere, guiding the story. His goal is to keep the characters ignorant.
Knowledge comes with a cost.
As he punishes those who seek answers, he behaves exactly like a keeper of forbidden story secrets who doesn't want the characters learning their own story. This is a classic King in Yellow behavior, influencing events while remaining hidden, punishing those who seek forbidden knowledge about the nature of the reality. The battle between the boy in white and the man in yellow becomes symbolic of two narrative plays. The boy in white represents hope, guidance, and fairy tale rules. The man in yellow represents corruption. The writers use From as a test of the audience's ability to recognize patterns and explain meaning. The numbers in the bottle tree appear to be random dates for 2 seasons, well 3 seasons. Then the revelation that they're actually musical notes changes everything. The writers deliberately planted what looked like one type of clue but was actually another, testing viewers who made the conceptual leap from numerical data to musical composition. They demonstrate how real pattern recognition works. Breakthrough come not from collecting more data, but from going back to existing data in entirely new contexts. The writers also use familiar horror moments as coded language when Jade even questions, seriously, Talisman? We're watching a story with supernatural game-like rules. This operates like a horror story with magical rules. Even the radio tower gambit echoes countless scenarios where protagonists try to contact the outside world. But when the contact finally comes, it's not rescue. The writers play with the idea only to break it. Even the casting as meta commentary in a way. Lost at directing create deliberate echoes. Even the man in yellow versus the boy in white mirrors Lost Jacob versus the man in black. This is also not random. All these different layers create a single meta message. From is as much about why we tell stories as is about the story is telling. The writers provide questions about narrative directly through the characters, theories, and break the fourth wall in spirit. When Victor says, again, it's a challenge to viewers about our role. As we passive consumers, or are we active participants trying to solve the puzzle? From invites the audience to engage in an intellectual game of decoding, rewarding those who notice the hidden language, but they can also free you once you understand the story you're in. By season 3, this becomes clear. The past is written like chapters in a book, but the future remains unwritten and up to the characters. It's a literal deception of what our audience explain about fiction. Outcomes can change when characters gain self-awareness. The Storywalker concept is the writer's most direct communication with the audience about how their show works. They're telling us that From operates according to story logic, where past events are fixed chapters, but future outcome remains unwritten. Julie's inability to change past events reflect our own relationship with completed episodes. We can analyze and understand them, like I'm doing right now, but we cannot alter what's being shown. However, our interpretation and engagement can influence maybe how future chapters are gonna unfold.